a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is Mitu.
And my name is BJ.
And this week, we're watching Owning Manhattan on Netflix.
So stay tuned to find out if Mitu wants to go into luxury real estate.
Whoa, I bet you'll be surprised by the answer.
Me or the listener?
Both.
Okay.
Until then, why don't you let us know what happened on this show?
Sure. Real estate mogul Ryan Serhant leads one of the biggest firms in New York and pushes his agents to greatness while tackling the most expensive listings. In this pilot episode, we meet some of the veteran agents, the newbies, and view an apartment that costs $250 million.
That's a headline price.
Would you buy it?
Sure, if I were a multi-billionaire. Actually, no, I wouldn't.
Ooh.
Because if you have that much money, maybe it's because I grew up in the South and and you might identify with this. I'd want land.
You have a terrace.
Okay.
You're above helicopters.
That's true. That was a cool selling point. Ryan is very good at selling homes because as he talked about that house where he was like, the square footage of this actually makes this cheaper than another apartment in this area. And you're above the clouds and you can use my height for reference. And there were just little things he was saying about the home that I was like, yeah, maybe it does make sense to have this house. Maybe it is a steal at $250 million. Like he's good at what he does. And I think that's what sets this show apart a little bit from some of the other selling this city shows that we've seen where it really feels like he does this real estate thing.
Yes, he is charming and he has that salesman quality. You can tell he geeks out on real estate and property and describing all of this, selling it. And he's passionate about it, which I think makes you as the viewer interested, even if this is a world that I'm just going to admit is not in our price range.
We're coming out of the closet as not billionaires.
Surprise, guys. I know you thought of us very differently.
We're so sorry to disappoint you, and we hope you'll still take us for who we are.
We'll work on it, though. Maybe one day we'll be multi-billionaires.
Yeah, maybe we'll just open enough sweatshops to do it.
Is one marriage can do it.
That's true. You don't have to be the one who owns the sweatshops. You just have to marry someone who owns them. You're right about that. I do like about Ryan as well, the conflict that you see where he runs this business. He's obsessed with real estate, so he wants to take things to the next level. He does not want to be the number 6 ranked broker in New York. He wants to be number 1. But that necessitates him taking a step back from selling these houses. And I think it is interesting to see him have that conflict because I think in any other setting, we would see him much like on the $1 million listing show. We would see him making calls every moment to sell that Central Park apartment.
Yes, he's learning the tough part of starting his own business and he's still taking on listings. And we see within this episode, he doesn't have the time and has to recruit his own agents to support him. And it actually makes me think of this board game creator. You like the game Wingspan, the
Love
bird
it.
game. The guy who produced that game, he used to design a lot more games. And he's talked about he got to a point where his business grew so much, he doesn't have time to design the games. He probably has to do the same thing as Ryan, worry about HR, payroll, taxes, stuff that's probably a lot less interesting than board games or real estate.
Yes, the thing that brings you in is the thing you're doing less of because you're advancing in it. It is, dare I say, relatable. The higher you get in your career, the less you do the thing that you came in doing.
Yeah, that's the price you pay if you want to reach the top.
True. And I think it's interesting, the social media angle, the fact that they're selling houses on social media. I thought similarly to one of the women whom Chloe showed a house to where it was like, are billionaires on social media? Why does that matter? And I thought the point was very interesting that when they make these social posts, they're appealing to young people in a new economy who have a lot of money from social media. And so they're reaching their target audience and broadly successfully drawing attention to what they're doing. So the fact that they have Serhant Studios as a fully functioning studio for them to be able to produce these social media productions is fascinating.
Yes. And I think it's helpful as well for us to see how the world is changing. We're definitely seeing the oil baron money people on this show. We're seeing the South Korean tech conglomerate money as well. And we're seeing TikTokers, YouTubers, influencers who they're making millions and can afford these $1 million properties.
May I say one thing that lightly unsettled me?
Okay.
The number of bracelets on Ryan's wrist.
I did a deep dive trying to figure out what those bracelets meant.
That's why we're sisters, because I was so unsettled. I was like, maybe when you're rich, you just can wear more bracelets?
I couldn't figure it out. Someone in a YouTube comment on a video where he was talking about bracelets but didn't explain them said that one is like through this nonprofit where you buy it and they remove plastic from the ocean.
Sure.
And another one is some like spiritual bead bracelet.
I love how in the cut you went, where he's doing a YouTube video about bracelets, not necessarily giving a tour of his, which I want desperately. And then you went in the comments and said, I need a guiding light.
Someone knows. Please.
Someone has this information. That's why I respect you and your hustle.
I'm a scientist, y'all. I do my research.
That's why you're Dr. BJ.
That curiosity never stops.
Taking a step away from the bracelets of it all, let's talk about this cast.
Okay.
These agents, these real agents.
They mostly seem real. I think one of them I question.
Yeah.
But we do see some real veterans like Niall and Trisha who they're selling hundreds of millions of dollars in property.
And I liked the dynamic between the veterans who had been with Ryan for a decade and then the rookies who are coming in because he's expanding his business. So we have Chloe, who's already sold, she said, $100 million of properties. And she and Niall are competing to be able to sell a property. That is something that Ryan introduces, a lot of competition, because he says agents are hungry for it and it makes them perform better.
Yes. Chloe definitely looks hungry for this opportunity.
Yes.
She also was on Broadway, so I think she is enjoying this reality TV attention as well and the social media angle that Ryan has with his business. So it all seems to have lined up for her. Luxury real estate and being the face of it all.
One of the agents to me felt a little central casting model, Jonathan. I know that there's been a lot of gossip around him in looking up this show, but I thought it was funny that he said that the rookies are buttoned up and you would never wear what they wear to the parties that he goes to. And he's selling houses to influencers, models, and crypto bros.
You know, he came in with an angle.
Yeah.
And a little background. I have already watched this show before it was added to our schedule.
Yes.
And he sticks to that angle throughout the season.
As sharp as his jawline, he follows that angle.
He is a model. We also have Jess, one of the Jesses. She's also a model and really into being an influencer and a real estate agent.
Yes.
So you do question, like, what's your main job?
Yes.
And I don't know if we will find out. It would break the illusion of the show.
It is very improv, very yes and. And then we have someone after our own hearts, Savannah, out of North Carolina.
Southern Belle.
A Southern Belle who is not yet trusted to sell homes. So she's selling rentals.
Less than 10K rentals.
And she said she's having trouble making the bills off of that.
Well, I imagine going from anywhere in North Carolina, renting an apartment to renting in New York, that's a big increase in your cost of living.
Yes.
And she's also dating, going out, getting groomed, that adds up to the costs.
It's expensive.
And you can't do that if you're renting $3,000-$4,000 properties. How much of that does she get?
And to your point about having to be out and about, I think that is the toughest part of this job for me. This is a crew of extroverts. So I imagine they live for this. But I just felt exhausted thinking about the fact that all of these people have to constantly be at parties, or Ryan talks about how Niall rides camels in Dubai with billionaires.
Casual.
Or Trisha used to own a nail salon, and so much of her customer base selling homes in Brooklyn is former clients. But that means you have to maintain those relationships. You can't have done my nails even a few times and then a year later call me and be like, hey, girl, do you want this house? Like, you're constantly following up with people, keeping relationships warm, or even we learned from Chloe, cold calling.
It's wild to think how many people they need to talk to on a daily basis to maintain their Rolodex. And even though Ryan lets us the fact that there are 3,000 billionaires in the world, even amongst his agents, they still need to maintain, dozens, maybe a couple hundred contacts just to be ready at any moment to call someone up and say, you want to buy this?
Yes. The fact that in this first episode, he brings one of his agents and she's like, all right, I'm going to call the CEO of insert tech company here and see if they want this is wild. Like, that is just a wild thing to be able to produce. And then the other expensive part of this, of having to be out and about, as you said, is grooming. They're all stunning. They have to be nicely dressed. They have to be coiffed. Their hair has to be done nice and glowy and done up, because every meeting that you have is with someone whom you need to impress or leave a good impression with, at least.
I didn't even think of it that way. Lifestyle inflation must be ridiculous in this type of job because you have to look the part of the people who want to buy these homes.
Yes. You don't have a Birkin, but you have to appear as though you could afford a Birkin.
Maybe you have to have one.
Or you might have to have one to be able to sell to someone who wants a closet for their Birkins.
Wow. Can you get to that level?
No.
You already gave up.
I felt so tired. When I watched Trisha try to sell that home for a record-breaking amount in Bed-Stuy, and I thought about how many contacts she had to gather, the fact that she had to throw this housewarming event, had to do event planning in addition to networking, in addition to managing her fiance who works with her and saw how much money she was making. So he was like, let me go ahead and do this with you as well.
We're a team and everything.
Yeah, now we're a duo, sis. And so I watched her do all of that. I felt so tired. And then Chloe cold calling all of these houses in the Hudson area, whatever that was called.
Hudson Square? I think.
Hudson Square, in order to prospect, because that neighborhood is increasing in price. And the fact that she was able to get a bite, but she probably made like dozens of calls to get to there. I felt tired.
And you would only get more and more tired because we see with Trisha, she has conquered Brooklyn. She apparently knows everybody. She knows everyone in every house, who's selling, who's buying. And now she wants to go to Manhattan as well. So she just wants to increase her workload.
Yes, because she thinks that she's being pigeonholed in Brooklyn, which I thought was an interesting plot angle. The fact that she's been with Ryan for so long, the fact that she's been selling these high value properties, probably has a very big portfolio. But light spoiler, she was not invited into the room when Ryan asked his agents to compete to see who could sell that Central Park unit first.
He didn't ask her to sell $250 million.
And is it because she's not selling in Manhattan?
I know the answer, so I'm not going to respond.
Oh, that's true. You kept watching. That's true. Okay.
That's a great question.
I know we've already given away your rating, but what do you rate owning Manhattan?
To put it on the record, I would rate this Would Watch Again seriously. I finished it. I really enjoyed it, and I hope there's a season 2. How do you feel?
I completely agree. This has drama and models from central casting, but it also has real agents doing real business.
Mm-hmm.
And they get nerdy in a way that's really interesting to watch. It's always entertaining to watch someone be really into something, even if you know nothing about that thing, even if that thing is unrelatable to you. When they're really good about something, when they're really good at something and really good at talking about that thing, it'll interest me. And so in this case, Owning Manhattan is very interesting to me. I will watch again seriously. And for my HGTV people, for my real estate agent show people, for any shows having to do with housing, renovating housing, selling housing, people who like to have that on, I think you'll really enjoy this.
And I will throw in, if you watched a show like Selling Sunset and didn't like the workplace drama and non-existent supervision and managing, I will say that Ryan shows himself to be a good boss who does pay attention to the drama in his workplace and addresses it.
So this is the episode where BJ openly starts a beef with Selling Sunset.
Sure. How many more seasons is it going to get anyway?
Ooh, okay.
We need Selling Tampa to come back.
Now that is true. Selling Tampa needs to come back immediately. They weren't selling nothing on that show, but it was so entertaining.
They were trying.
Okay.
Anyway, the question is, would you become a luxury real estate agent?
No.
Think of these beautiful homes you'd get to see.
Yeah.
Think of these $1 million commissions.
It sounds fabulous. I don't know wealthy people, so I could not successfully do that. However, I love touring homes. BJ and I both share that quality. We love an open house. We love touring apartments. You're looking to rent a new place now, so we've gotten to check out a couple new buildings. I love doing that. So if you are a luxury real estate agent and you just want two people to ooh and ah over your house, or maybe we get the crowd excited, we dress as nicely as we can.
Extras at the open house.
We're central casting now. You know, maybe you want some more real looking people and less people that look like they're Instagram models who would not buy your home. We'll look like a real married couple, real professional couple who are looking at a starter home for the value of $100 million.
Not a starter home.
Just something, you know, little to get us going.
And we'll say things like, I think we should put in an offer.
Or, wow, is that the original crown molding?
This is 14,790 square feet. It doesn't look like it.
What a steal. We could do that.
This house is underpriced. Let's get in now.
Please come let us look at your houses. I love doing
for
that.
For a fee.
Oh, that's true. For a fee. Okay. Yeah. I thought the presence was the privilege, but you're right.
This is a job.
Yeah, this is a job. You're right.
Well, you can get back to our other non-paying job, which is this podcast, by visiting our website at thepilotpodcast.com. And you can follow us on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
You can also follow us on social media at thepilotpod on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And you can send thoughts, feelings, show recommendations, because every other week, just like this one, we do a show recommended by you, our wonderful listeners, to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.